Welcome to the Ohio Computer-Based Assessment Tutorials. This tutorial will cover the end of course exam for American Government at the high school level. We are starting at the portal page, which is oh.portal.airast.org/OCBA. And at that portal page, we will click Practice Test, and that will bring us to the login page. We will log in as a guest, and then we will select 10th grade, but any of the grade levels at the high school will get us to the end of course exams that Ohio has created for the high school end of course exams, and you'll see there that we have American Government, American History, and Physical Science. This tutorial will focus on American Government. We will only look at the end of year assessment. They are very similar. There are some things on the PBA. The PBA assessment is the performance-based assessment, which will be given earlier in the year, roughly around the beginning of March, and the end of year will be given around the beginning of May. So these do have a few different types of questions, but because of the similarities between the two, and that the PBA sample test only has a limited number of questions, we're going to use the end of year for this tutorial. So we're just going to select the settings, confirm them, and start the test. The first page that comes up is just the test instruction page that gives students some ideas on how to navigate and the different tools that are available and the rules. So begin the test. Once the test begins, you'll notice that we have the testing environment. This is what it'll be similar to the testing environment that the students will encounter. We have the navigation buttons that allows them to go forward and backward between questions. They can pause if there has to be a break in the test, and then obviously the end of test, which they will not click until they are totally done with all of the questions. Over here we have some other tools that students need to be aware of. We have the notes tool, which allows students to actually write on a notepad and save it and then bring it back up if they so wish. There's a line reader that allows students to read a line to the question. And then we have a zoom in and zoom out feature, which helps students that might have some visual impairment read the text a little better. So there are some advantages to the online test that we have not had in the previous paper pencil test. Now, the end of year test has several multiple choice questions on them because it is what we call machine scored, or scored by the computer. So you will see several traditional multiple choice questions as we flip through this sample test, but there's some other questions that question types that you need to be aware of that allows students to manipulate the information a little differently than a traditional multiple choice test. As I go through here, I'm not going to worry about the question and the answers. I'm just going to kind of demonstrate how they are navigated. As you see, we have several multiple choice questions which look very traditional, so I'm going to flip through those. But now we start getting to some of the newer technology enhanced questions. So as they look and they see over here, they read the information, and it says click the increase or decrease arrow for each effect. So the effect of people buying more houses, does that increase or does that decrease the change to the discount rate? So they have to do that for all of them based on the different effects. So there's several things going on here that the student has to do to get credit for the answering this question. Multiple choice. Here's a short answer that is traditional, where they would just type their answer using the keyboard based on the prompt that they're given. Another short answer. Here is another technology enhanced question that students need to be familiar with. So they're going to read these pieces in the column, and then they have to select what branch of government it would be, and then whether it's federal or state. And they would do that for each one of the columns. So there's several things going on here, several things they have to click. It's just not one single click. So students need to be familiar with that. There's two parts to this question. The first one is a traditional multiple choice question, which shouldn't be an issue, but the part B is one that students really need to be aware of on these new assessments, because now there are multiple selects, and that's similar to the PARCC test, that they have the same type of questions. But here it doesn't even say how many they have to select. It just says select all of the ways. So there might be two, there might be three. So students really have to understand and have a good mastery of this concept to be able to then select the ones that are appropriate here under Part B. So that's also a different type of question that students need to be aware of. This is another drag and drop where they will drag the correct box to the correct spot. They can change it if they like. So this is also a new technology enhanced type of question. This one is a click, so they read the section and then they click whether it's Federalist or Anti-Federalist, and that's how they answer that type of question. Those are called hotspots. Multiple choice. Here's another one where they have to select all of the ways that the Ohio Constitution of 1851 addressed these problems. So students have to know which ones of these are the ones that actually address the problems in that Constitution. So they do have to have a good high-level understanding of those types of concepts. Multiple choice, and then that's the end of the test. So as you can see, we had several different types of questions beyond the typical multiple choice question. Once they come to the end of the test and they can click the end of test button, it asks if that's what you want to do, and you say yes, and it should come up with a breakdown of the questions that you may not have answered. If there's an explanation point that tells the student that they did not answer that question, they can click on it and go back directly to that question and then answer it. So it's important that students make sure that all of the questions are answered. Once they are and they hit submit, that submits the test and they are unable to go back in and change anything. So it's important that teachers proctoring the test make sure that students have all the questions answered to the best of their ability before that submit test button is clicked. So this was the tutorial for the American Government end of course exam for Ohio's new computer-based assessment platform. We will do another tutorial for American history and the physical science end of course exams, so be looking for those.